delay in our start of our 1 o'clock work session, but you got to see us working, which is a great way to start. And I'm very grateful for you all being here today. We will begin our work session for Monday, March the 23rd. Our very first item on the agenda is a proclamation for World Parkinson's Day. Is Randy Parker here? Hi, Miss Parker. How are you? First of all, it's a wonderful opportunity for us to express our appreciation and support. So I'm going to join you at the podium. Kevin. Hi. Thanks for being here. All right, so we are going to proclaim a few weeks early, but we still think it's important for our citizens to understand the importance of this proclamation. So on behalf of the Cleveland City Council, which is seated before you, whereas Parkinson's disease is caused by a combination of both genetic and environmental factors and manifests in motor challenges, such as tremors, rigidity, and slowness of movement, as well as non-motor symptoms, including depression, sleep disorders, cognitive decline, and difficulty swallowing, and unfortunately, there is no cure. Parkinson's disease affects more than 1 million Americans and is the second most common neurodegenerative condition in the United States. And whereas Parkinson's disease will cost United States citizens more than $58 billion annually, nearly half of which is borne by federal government and the remainder by American families. The prevalence of Parkinson's is expected to nearly double by 2037, increasing burdens on our families, communities, and nations. Millions of caregivers, family members, and loved ones are deeply impacted by Parkinson's disease, and they work tirelessly to provide care and support. Whereas prevention efforts addressing environmental risk factors, early diagnosis, and expanded education to access to community-based support services is essential in improving the quality of life and advancing progress towards a cure. And whereas lightings, buildings, bridges, and other landmarks will be illuminated in vibrant blue on April 11th, which is World Parkinson's Day. Now therefore I, Kevin Brooks, the Mayor of the City of Cleveland, do hereby proclaim with our City Council that April 11th in Cleveland, Tennessee will now hereby be known as World Parkinson's Day. We ask all of our individuals, the entire community, our healthcare professionals and organizations, both public and private, to observe this day with appropriate activities and the lighting of our landmarks in vibrant blue to raise awareness and inspire action towards finding a cure for Parkinson's disease. Signed today, Kevin Brooks. It's an honor to present this to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here today.
Thank you.
You want a picture, Alan?
Sure.
We'll stand here like this.
Okay.
Here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more time. Gotcha.
Ms. Parker, would you like to say anything?
Just on behalf of the people with Parkinson's in our community and across the world, I want to sincerely thank you, Mayor Brooks, and the City of Cleveland for proclaiming April 11th as World Parkinson's Day. This is an important recognition in the raising of awareness and fostering understanding about this challenging neurological disease. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome to sneak around here. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, members of the council, for your support in that proclamation. Next, I believe we have Miss Bonadio from our Cleveland Public Housing Authority. You're no stranger to all of us in this room, but I think this might be your first official time coming before the City Council.
Yes.
Please, join us. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Well, I do appreciate the opportunity for you all to give me just a little bit of your meeting time. See some familiar faces here. But like Mayor Brooks said, I'm Lisa Bonadio. I am Executive Director of Cleveland Housing Authority. And part of me wants to say I'm new Executive Director of Cleveland Housing Authority, but 2 years have gone so fast, and so now I'm 2 years in. And apologize that I wasn't able, or that I haven't come sooner to formally introduce myself. So I just want to tell you a little bit about me. I was born and raised here in Cleveland, went to work for Cleveland Housing Authority, where I stayed until 1995, and left to become director of Dayton Housing Authority, returned in 2023. So it's really a full circle homecoming for me. And I'm really excited to be back with the Housing Authority and to lead it where we're going to go in the future. And I really appreciate, and I know I'm speaking on behalf of the Housing Authority, really appreciate the partnership and the relationship that the Housing Authority has had with the city. I'm sure that started in 1957 when the Housing Authority was first formed, and in 1960 when the first developments were built, and that's been ongoing to 2026. And like I said, on behalf of the Housing Authority and me, I just want to say I look forward to that relationship to continue. And if you can give me just another couple of minutes, I want to give you an update on where the Housing Authority is, where we see ourselves going for the future. And most of you probably remember my predecessor, Paul Dellinger. And back in maybe 2020, 2021, during the COVID period, he started on a very visionary program where he removed 300 units from the old public housing portfolio and moved it to a different funding platform. And the reason for that is public housing funding has been really unstable over actually the past many years. Capital funding has been quite unstable, so it's very difficult for housing authorities to maintain under the old public housing program.
Sure.
And so he removed those units from public housing portfolio, removed them to the Housing Authority's nonprofit arm, and formed a private entity out of those units. Then engaged with a private developer. Once you transfer to a private entity, then you have many more opportunities to go out and seek additional funding. So once those were removed, he engaged with a private developer and went out and to seek funding from tax credit and from multifamily housing bonds. And with that, once those were awarded, those tax credits were sold to a private investor, and a complete renovation was completed in 2024. And that entire renovation, both soft and hard costs, was a $60 million renovation completely funded by private funds. So, like I said, that concluded in 2024. Very, very proud of that. We hope our families are proud of that. In my words, I want us to be a place children can feel proud to come home to. And I think we've achieved that. Moving forward, we have 114 units still remaining in our public housing portfolio. Out of those, 80 units are located in the development behind our office on Walker Street. Those were built in 1971, and believe it or not, from their design, they were originally designated as elderly housing. That designation has since expired, but they are completely composed of one-bedroom and efficiency units. So I say all that to say we're going to soon be in the process of requesting that they be removed from the portfolio. We are in the active planning stage. We are engaging with the developer to come up with a plan for those units and to renovate those so that they are really updated units that everybody in here can be proud of. So I'm sure, well, I have spoken to Mayor Brooks. I've spoken with Mr. Fivas on occasion. Definitely appreciate the support that you all have given us on this. And like I said, I will certainly update any progress we have on that. Thank you for letting me come before you today and give a formal introduction.
Thank you, Ms. Bonadillo. Any questions from the council for Ms.
Sorry, I'll
Bonadillo?
be glad to answer those.
Where's your main office?
Sorry.
Where's?
Our main office is on Walker Street.
Tell me where that is.
It's right off Central Avenue,
Okay.
and we are, we're a
Right
little
out that
bit
window.
catty-cornered,
Look
yes.
out that window.
Okay.
Yes, from the new engineering building at Lee University.
Gotcha.
We're very close to Lee University.
Okay.
And so, like I said, there's 80 units developed in 1971 back there behind the office.
Councilman Estes?
So, Ms. Bonadillo, I paid attention for a long time, worked with Paul.
Okay.
Much of your portfolio is in the second district.
Mhm.
And the last 5 years, the upgrades have radically changed block by block by block.
Mhm.
And it's not just your portfolio, but it's the entire neighborhoods around that.
Yes.
Keep it up.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
sustain the upkeep, please.
Mhm.
And I know your board, certainly I know your board, and what you've done off and on. And I know
Yes.
Cleveland doing a redevelopment authority as well.
Mhm.
Alan, I would hope that something could go in the banner just to really see what Paul started, and he sold meat many years ago, pre-COVID. It was very hard to see,
Yes.
but it's really coming about, and
Yes.
just whatever we can do to help keep that momentum going.
Thank you.
And
And
that stability, and I'm gonna say I see it mostly in the public schools.
mhm.
The stability of kids in the public schools when they don't have to move and attrition and all.
Right.
It's huge.
It is huge, and
So-
like I said, that's what we want to be. And affordable housing, I mean, you know the gap that's here. And so I know just like you all, we're looking forward to how we can fill that gap. I met Councilwoman McKenzie the other day, and we had a conversation about affordable housing, but it's definitely a need. We certainly want to play our part in meeting that need, and like I said, very much appreciate the partnership. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, that takes us to item number 3, which is introduction of a new team member. I believe Miss Miller, you're going to introduce today our newest member of the team, Assistant HR Director, Martha Randolph. And welcome.
Good afternoon. Well, as you know, it did take us a while to fill the position. There were many applicants. So we did many phone interviews, and the committee and I spent 3 full days doing in-person interviews and computer testing. So at the end of the process, there was one candidate that knocked the computer skills out of the park, and we felt stood above the rest as far as the other interviews. So I'd like to introduce you to Martha Randolph.
All right.
Nice to meet y'all.
Nice to meet you. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm very excited to be here.
Well, we're very happy to have you. Any questions from the council for our new member of the
Where do
family?
you come from?
So I was raised in the Hickson Saudi Daisy area. I graduated from Saudi Daisy High School. I married a Bradley County boy, and my daughter and I moved up here in 2021. So she is currently in 7th grade at Lake Forest. He is actually an assistant wrestling coach at Lake Forest, so we are involved in wrestling and volleyball. But we actually live in the city, though, so we go to the county schools.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Where did you work prior to?
So prior to that, I was at Coker Tire as an senior HR manager, doing absolutely everything for them. And then prior to that, I was at Unum. But almost my entire career has been in HR.
Well, we're happy that you're here, and we send our apologies to Corky. And
He actually does not own Coker Tire anymore. He sold it in 2018.
how about that?
Yeah. But yeah,
Welcome. We're
I'm
glad
very
that you're.
excited to be here.
We're
Thank
glad
you.
that you're here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, Miss Miller. That takes us to item D, which is a new item on the agenda. It's Sharon Marr in Main Street to tell us about the upcoming Hot Slaw and Art Yaw Festival. Sharon and friends.
We've got the whole team here, which is a big team. This is a part of the team. So we are so happy to be organizing the 5th Hot Slaw and Art Y'all Festival. And to whet your appetite for that, you have coming around some Hot Slaw containers from Food City, our big batch sponsor. Once again, they have been with us since the beginning.
You know I want a fork.
So
Okay.
go right ahead. If you don't, I assume you'll want to hold on those. So we'll pick those up at the end and put those those in the fridge so nobody gets food poisoning at the end of the day. They'll be waiting for you out in the kitchen.
Absolutely.
So our partners for this event are, of course, it's the city of you guys, the city of Cleveland, the Chamber of Commerce, Main Street, and Artists Here Partnership. And we just want to say thank you so much for what the city does. Your partnership is invaluable for this event. We have 3 stages of entertainment scheduled on April 11th from noon to 7. Hot slaw eating, which you guys can practice up and be in the hot slaw eating contest at 6 o'clock that night. We have amateur hot slaw making and professional hot slaw making that will get prizes and trophies for the winner of that. It's a great day. We have, I'll let Dwight talk about this in just a minute. We have 80 artists, 22 food vendors, and all the food vendors, unless you're dessert only, have hot slaw on the menu. We have Hot Slaw Row, where we have 6 local businesses selling their hot slaw that day. You can purchase it like you have there and take with you. So it's just a wonderful day. This festival has gotten so much publicity over the years. It has been picked up in the beginning by the New York Times. Last year, Southern Living listed it in their May edition for the Southern Slaw Trail, which who knew there was a slaw trail, but we are heading that trail up. So there's been so much great publicity. We averaged 7,000 to 8,000 people at this festival the last couple of years. So come out, enjoy, and I'm going to let Dwight just talk about art. It is an arts festival, by the way.
Remind us the date.
It's amazing when you talk about hot slaw. People never heard of hot slaw very often, and it's especially out of town. We have about 25 to 30 out of town vendors that come to this festival every year, and they drive us nuts about Christmas time, wanting to know when's the hot slaw festival, when's the festival. So art and craft vendors are a major part of this event, so it's always good to have them. So thank you for your participation, and just look to see all of you there, and hope you enjoy your hot slaw.
Hey, Dwight, remind me the date.
It's April the 11th.
Thank you.
From 12 to 7,
Noon to 7.
noon to 7, yeah.
Noon to 7 on April 11.
Noon to 7.
And you might probably know this, but every food vendor is required to have hot slaw. So, that's one of the requirements of being a food vendor.
Unless you only have desserts.
That's right.
You don't have
Yeah.
to.
Sometimes hot slaw dessert, it's okay.
So Melissa Woody and I co-chair this event. She had to go to Nashville today, so she couldn't be here. She works tirelessly on this.
I
as
hope she
well.
took hot slaw with her.
I'm sure she did.
Good.
Lindsay is rep for the city. She does a great job helping us. Maggie Possinger works for the chamber. She's a new employee there. She's doing a great job cranking out some beautiful maps and really doing a lot of things helping this festival go. So thank you so much for your support. We're looking forward to a great day downtown.
Lindsay is the festival fairy. She's amazing.
Where's Sammy?
Well,
Good
Sammy
question.
couldn't make it
Good
today,
question.
but Sammy will be at Food City this Friday, the 26th and 27th, at the Wienermobile. The Oscar Mayer Wienermobile is coming as part of the promotion. It couldn't make it for the festival day, so it's going to be at Food City South on Thursday and then Food City North. So Sammy will be there, and of course Sammy will be out in force on the 11th.
Love it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any questions from the council about hot slaw? I think hot slaw is a dessert, so I'm confused about why you don't let them have it
So
if it's a
we'll
dessert.
take your hot slaw back up, and it'll be in the fridge. In the
Okay.
kitchen for you.
So we won't have any.
Fixing to break this thing up.
You're welcome to have it. You're welcome to enjoy it right now.
I'll save it for later.
You want yours to go to the refrigerator?
Yes,
Yeah,
I do.
that's exactly
Thank you.
what I'm waiting
No problem.
And anybody that doesn't take their hot slaw, the mayor will claim it.
You're gonna leave yours, or we taking it to the refrigerator?
All right. Thanks very much,
Thank you.
everybody.
Thank
Grateful that you're here. That takes us to item number 2 on the agenda, which is our city manager report. Mr. Fivas, welcome.
Don't go too far, Lindsay.
Okay.
I want to make everyone aware of the second annual Cleveland Honeybee Festival,
Yay.
which is a partnership between the Bradley County Honeybee Association. I think that's the right thing. And
Ocoee Region Beekeepers Association.
well, I'm sorry.
Ocoee Region Beekeepers
Thank
Association.
you very much. I was making stuff up.
It's the other Orba.
that they're doing
It really is.
probably not quite as large yet as the Hot Slaw Festival, but on June 13th, 11 to 7 p.m., They're going to have everything associated with honeybees. They held it last year, and they had how many vendors?
There were probably 80 vendors there.
Yeah, so there will be it'll be
It'll be.
But do you have anything you want to
I'm
plug for that?
No, we would love to see you guys June 13th on the streets around Johnston Park from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. just to celebrate us being a bee city and all the things that honeybees and pollinators do for us.
Good.
Thank you.
Thank you. And so the Cleveland is a sponsor of that, and but the organization does a lot of the work on the educational components and the vendors and stuff like that. Our first item today, you have a handout in front of you, which is the Cleveland traffic light priorities. There's a document also up on the board that we want to go. You know, we are in the midst of working on our budget. I know that's a surprise. And we wanted to make sure that there was alignment in what the priorities were, the council of some of these intersection projects to before we get into the actual prioritization. We are working to take over our traffic light management of our traffic of the traffic lights, and we gave a presentation to the council about that. We're working through the financial issues and how we can buy back the assets so that Cleveland become the sole owner of all of those assets. And as we discussed before, that would be probably great savings to the city to be able to do that. And we are getting people trained and getting ready to take on some of that responsibility. So that's in the over the next year. Those things will happen. One exciting thing maybe is that we've been offered a demo to hook in what is a new AI system to our traffic, to certain areas in our traffic light. You know, they really want to have a pilot project, one like in Inman Street, one in Paul Huff, one on North Lee, to try their product and see how it works. It's supposed to calculate and prioritize in real time where the traffic is and how it needs to work. We have we haven't seen the presentation yet, so I'll let you know more about it once we've seen that. We've heard that there are some traffic improvements with those systems, but obviously anytime you move in those computer-aided directions, that we need to go into it with our eyes wide open, and so we'll bring back information before we implement anything on that. But it's an exciting time, but there's also a lot of needs in our traffic management in the city. As you know, and I think it was last meeting or the meeting before, we applied for a grant to help us construct a traffic operations center. And so back to the traffic light priorities. These are what we came up with as staff. We are certainly open to any suggestions or to do more reevaluation or have anything. This is a working document. This is not meant to lock anyone in. It's just to give you the sense on what we're looking at. This next fiscal year, we tried to get it down to 2 projects this first year. But we found that there's really 3 that are pretty high priorities from a safety standpoint. One is the Hardwick Farms Parkway Road at Stewart Road. That's where out in front of Hobby Lobby and Wendy's. That's an awfully difficult left-hand turn. Sometimes it's just nearly impossible to turn left, and it's time for us to make that investment. The good thing with that is, when we figure out our tax increment financing, is that some of the tax increment financing will help pay for some of those costs from the tax increment that we collect over time.
Where's the county on that?
There is a subcommittee meeting on March 25th that we will get more information from them. And we'll report back if things aren't going, we hope, I'm sorry, that subcommittee is just on the policy. The Industrial Development Board has approved something, the city has approved something, and they have a meeting at their legislative committee meeting, and hopefully they'll approve it and adopt the policy.
And then they would vote to go in with us on this.
And then, once you have the policies, then if there's applicants, which we know that are out there, they will submit an application. Then they'll go through, and this is the important, they'll go through a due diligence process to where they have to do your but-for analysis, which basically says, if this doesn't work, do we really need, does the developer really need to have this TIF district to make the project work? And there's an analysis that can be done and will be done to make that. So that would be done, and then you would take it to the local governments to sign off on. So
Have these individuals applied for TIF with us already?
no,
Okay.
no, but they're getting close to having to do something. We wanted to, since the county had their meeting, that I don't think that the IDB is accepting applications until we know what the county's direction is on that. But we'll keep everyone up to speed on that. But there's conversations going on, and as we know, this is a very complicated area, and I think that they've had some real a number of questions that have been addressed, and we hope that we can at least get the policy done and then figure out, walk through, hold hands together to figure out how to do this. So that's the first one, and everyone probably knows that that's a problem if you ever turned out left there. The next one is North Lee at Sequoia, and I should back up. Each traffic signal, we hope to be able to do them for about $350,000. We built in an extra $50,000 for design and any other unforeseen things that we have. So it's about $350 is probably what the average number is. We hope to have private contributions at the Hardwick Farms. North Lee and Sequoia, there's a subdivision that's being constructed there right now. If you've been through there, there's also a active commercial district being looked at the corner of Sequoia and North Lee. And we think that will drive the interest to have some of that traffic calming there. You have the elementary school, and I have something to add on that. What really makes that intersection work is, and I'm going to show you a design here in a moment, of pretty small tweak that the county school could do that would get most of the traffic off of that road, and I think that that would be something to be very beneficial. We believe, if done correctly, that with the tax increment financing, that you would probably be able to use some of those other funds to help pay for this. If you want to pull that up, Chris. Scale down. So that's North Lee Elementary, and you can see that we have a design. They lose a little bit parking, but there's other areas that they could gain that back. And if you go down, you just widen that out. That gets the majority of the traffic off of Sequoia Road and looped around. It's very similar to what they just did at Hopewell. And we've done it at Ross. We think that with the development, it's probably pretty important, as anyone that's driven by there, is to get as much of that traffic off of those eight and 3 o'clock timeframes. So at the right time, we'll go and have a conversation with the county. The good thing is that when they get into the tax increment policy, that will pay for, they may have to front the money, but they'll be reimbursed on that. And that will just make it safer for those people going to school there. The other one is Stewart Road in Dakota Sage. If you haven't been out there, there's a hospital being constructed there out in front of TCPS. And then on the other side of the road is First Baptist Cleveland. And this one is coming along, and with the school and the hospital, the traffic studies warrant that there needs to be a traffic signal there. We do have, I should go back on the Sequoia Road. We do have private contributions already for the Sequoia Road traffic light, and on Dakota Sage we have some traffic contributions, or some private contributions on that one as well.
Mr. Fivas?
Yeah.
On 1 and 3, those are both local roads, Stewart Road, but the middle one, North Lee, is a state road. Is there additional permission we have to get from the state, or has that already been done?
No, we would have to go through that process. I mean, we've talked to Danny Oliver at the state, and I think they've had a number of conversations about that. I mean, it's a known issue, and they won't have a problem approving that. We would probably argue that they could help with some of the funding, but they've been pretty generous in a lot of different areas as well.
Joe, wasn't there a light somewhere on the North Lee Highway around the Food City that was approved in the past for the state?
I'm drawing a blank.
The new Food City on 60?
No, not Food City, Food Line.
Food Line. Yeah.
Food Line. Wasn't there something approved in the past by the state there?
Not that I'm aware of.
I thought it was too, I remember the discussion, it was too close to Paul Huff.
Yeah, you're talking about out in front of the
Don Ledford.
Don Ledford.
Yep.
That is a real thing, to your question. I think there was several years ago, there was a safety application that was put in for that.
It was.
But that was not approved. That there's a study going on right now to figure out how that all works, how the traffic will work in the future there. What we don't want to do is spend $400,000, and then there's a study that shows that there's a different alignment and you have to take it all out and do it again. So we want to understand what all of that is. Are there issues there? Oh yeah. I mean, and there has been for a long time. That there needs to be a different solution that is there now. We just don't know what that is. Kimley Horn is looking at that, and we need to work with them to.
As long as it's part of the process.
Yeah, well, that will have to be, one way or the other, have to be dealt with. It just can't stay the same.
All that data's in the traffic study.
It is.
All that little.
So, but it's a good question.
Thank you.
David Shealy, before he's actually at traffic school today, not driving, but actually learning about traffic. He said, "You're going to get hit with that question on that," and I said, "I bet you it's within the first two questions," and it was. But it's the right question for sure. So those are the three that if we can get plugged into our budget this year, where we still have not figured out all of our capital projects, that's what we would want to do or should do this year. Interesting is this last year, we were able to put in 11 new traffic signals in the city of Cleveland, and a lot of people wouldn't know that. So you have Inman, you have Highway 60, you have Peerless, Mouse Creek, And so that was 11, but we were able to, we got the state to pay for a number amount at 60, and we were able to work through the issues on Inman Street. That's obviously a much more cost less, because it's a much more compact area and you don't need as much steel with all the mast arms and stuff like that. So 3 hopefully is a manageable number. Fiscal year 28, which is next year, we have 3 projects, which is Paul Huff Parkway and Atkinson Road, 25th Street and Peerless, 25th Street in Georgetown. Paul Huff and going back to Paul Huff and Atkinson, or that project, that we need some, that with the new culverts out there, that's built with a new traffic light in mind. There's a new sidewalk obviously planned to come down Atkinson Drive. And so we're putting together the plan to include the traffic signals with the sidewalks, with the additional laneage. We were able to get easements, I believe at no cost, is at Wendy's.
Yes.
So to add another turn lane, so you can have a slip lane going in front of Wendy's where that detention pond is, and we're finding out a different way to deal with the retention there, is that you can have a slip lane to get easier around, so you can go up Frontage Drive towards Target and that area. So that's there's a number of moving parts there. 25th and Peerless, in the matter of on approximately June 1st. We will close Peerless Road. You'll probably see work started there in May to rehabilitate the culvert that goes underneath that highway. There's some water lines, I believe, that need to be replaced, and that will also allow us to extend the intersection. At the same time, we have another development at the corner of that property, which is also going to contribute to that project, and which will add a decent amount of traffic to it. So we have a number of complex parts there working from the grant, the federal money that we have doing the widening and the fixing of the culvert, to widening the road, and realigning all different sizes, and then this would allow us to come back with new traffic lights, and in that time, and about that time, hopefully we have the construction that's ongoing on the multi-use pathway that goes down 25th Street on the other side of the road. We have 2 projects. We have a MMA project from Peerless Road to Georgetown. That's working its way through the state process. We only pay 5% of that, which will build a 10-foot multi-path all the way from Peerless all the way down to Georgetown, or vice versa. Then we have another TA project, a transportation alternatives, which is a project we'll continue that path from Peerless down to Key Street so you can get on the Greenway. So that will all be interconnected, working through that. So all of those pieces are coming together in that same project. Then you have 25th Street in Georgetown. We were able to do half of that intersection a few years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. Actually, that it really helped the traffic at Georgetown Road. But the other side needs help as well when you come out of when you come down West Side Drive, usually from Cracker Barrel or cutting through Klingon Ridge, is that will back up significantly, and there's times where you won't be able to make it through the light there. So we're working on pulling that whole area together, and then continuing the sidewalk all the way down to Norman Chapel Road. the development groups that are doing the development further down West Side already have sidewalk. So we will collaborate with them to make sure all the plans fit together so that you'll have the sidewalk going all the way down to Chapel Hill or Norman Chapel, and then that intersection will be done. Any questions on those three projects? Yeah.
On the west side project, is there been any consideration given to where Klingon Ridge comes into west side? Right there at the intersection, across from the Sunoco station?
Yeah, yeah. What do you mean consideration?
Well, it's a terrible left turn, and it blocks traffic.
If you're on Klingon Ridge turning,
Left on the west side.
Mhm.
Is there anything that can be done about that?
yes, and that's one of the reasons why redoing that intersection is important, because you would probably add another lane in there, which would give you more capacity, which would usually when you're there trying to turn left is usually it's backing up and you kind of have to go around them. Having more capacity, that will help. It'll help get people through there faster.
It's bad.
So, but we can certainly plan that in our designs and look at that.
I would just ask that you keep it under consideration, whatever might be available to help.
Yeah, we agree with that. Fiscal year 29, this is Pleasant Grove and exit 20. There's some development that we had some large annexations out there that probably by that time will be coming into the city. This could be moved up a year or it could be moved back a year depending on the timing. Southlee Highway and Brimer Creek, there are some private contributions that will be associated with the development builders out in that way. The traffic study showed that there was warranted some type of traffic light out there. Yeah.
Can you remind me where Brimer Creek Road is? Oh, gotcha. So it's way down.
Is it white down
Yeah.
So one of the stone piece that we're looking at today, along with PUD, the other PUD, and maybe the Newman Farm as it gets developed, if it's not going to the Tom Rowland interchange, this is their access. And so that's why that intersection needs attention.
It will feed the
South Lake.
spring break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Could,
It
but,
feeds back into there.
but to those developments that we've already approved,
Yeah.
1,500 homes back there, they're coming.
Yeah.
It gives ingress and egress to them.
Yeah, and that's with the Stone Lake one today, is all those issues have been worked out. So all of that traffic will be able to get out to Stone Lake Road and get on to
Tom Rowland
interchange.
Instead of all coming back, we really already need a light at Brimer Creek, Johnson Woods.
Another artery.
Yeah.
Okay. A lot of turkeys up there.
So, and that's there was time between when that was first approved and brought now, and that's what the development teams of multiple neighborhoods have been working through, is how to get that traffic through, and they finally have resolved that. So,
And kudos to Robert on sticking with his guns to make the road between the developments to Stone Lake for that many cars. When we looked at it, it was a mess up here. It was really, on the planning commission, it was very difficult.
yeah, it was a must-have, and
We held the line on that. Now, the city held the line on that, and I appreciate that.
fiscal year 2030, Northley Highway, Kings Den, and Northway Highway and Northside Drive. A lot of that depends on the construction timing. That might be that might fluctuate, because that Northside Drive will probably be the primary entrance point of the new elementary school in that area. So we'll need to time that appropriately for that. So this is our best stab at it. Any comments on any of these, or anything that we need to add to it? Any volunteers to talk to the county about their
Partnership.
Doug Barry is right behind you. I saw him perk up.
Another question on some of the older lights. I don't know if you found this out or not with the AI software we're looking into. Are we gonna upgrade some of the old intersections so it'll talk or not?
Most of them are upgraded, so because what allows the AI to work is the fiber that Cleveland Utilities has put in. Is that was one of the things that the council requested, was that every single street light is all connected with all of the fiber network with that. So as long as you have the fiber network, the backbone is there to be operated. Except for, there's 4 or 5 lights in the downtown that probably should be on this list, is that we have the older lights, one on McCoy, you have 2 of them, and then you have a couple on Broad Street. Those are the older ones that are about 40 to 45 years old. That probably doesn't have the technology to be able to run that, but those probably need to be on this list as well to rehab.
Speaking of AI, 2 weeks ago, spent the weekend in Waymo, cruising around San Francisco in a Jaguar driven by nobody. Good luck. It was scary. It was terribly
They
scary.
released him in Nashville this week.
Did they? Well, it's coming. It's coming.
But the pilot project, and it'll be terribly interesting, and we'll certainly communicate with that, is that, like I think I said, is that they'll probably do a section of Inman Street, and then they'll do Paul Huff and North Lee, and just see how it works for us. And then if it seems to work fine, and if the price tag is affordable, we would probably want to get everything hooked into that system if we want to do that.
Does this include the pedestrian signals where they're needed downtown? Where the back of the lot has been covered up?
Front of the courthouse.
Front of the courthouse on Broad Street.
This does not include rehabbing those, and that's what I was saying, is that this probably could include those, and I probably should start changing those
That's
up.
an addition too, that's not a rehab.
Those are probably new builds.
One thing, correct me if I'm wrong, I think David Shealy got TDOT to say, okay, that we could use wireless for those pedestrians.
Yeah. There's. I'm sorry. I was hearing 2 different things. As far as replacing, is that there is a wireless technology out that I know that they've been working on to figure out the crossing. I think that was your question.
And we're gonna have the ability to do that.
And affordable with wireless. I
Yeah.
think we got approval, if I remember what David said last month.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what's difficult about that is sometimes you can bore that stuff, but you have to remember underneath there, and it's the thing that we've run into everything in the downtown, is there's like 8 inches of old concrete that has fieldstone in there. It's the old original road, and to doing boring, it gets awfully difficult, and there's some other angle type things there, but this new technology should be able to alleviate those issues.
But we are planning on doing that.
Mm-hmm.
If you're leaving Billwell, trying to get to the old post office or Sandy Thompson's office, it's a little hairy. You can't see. It's okay.
Yeah, we'll get an update for you on that. David's there, and he would probably tell you that it's ordered or whatever it is. I haven't heard anything. So what we'll do with this, I will probably go through and add those other downtown lights to this, and then I'll resend it out to everyone. But what we know for this fiscal year, that these are the 3 priorities. Does anyone have issues with these 3 priorities, or think that there's something else that jumps up to that level to be funded? All right.
Is there a mechanism for the city to if the county decides they don't want to do the improvements that are necessary at the North Lee School, and the city deems it's a safety issue, which I believe it is, far more than just traffic, I think it is a safety concern. Are there any mechanisms that we as the city could take? Or should we save that for another day?
I have confidence the county will come and partner with us. Yeah, let's just hope for partnership.
Here's to hoping.
We spent half of our last meeting talking about North Lee parents reaching out to us. Maybe need to remind them to reach out to their county commissioners.
Who in turn tell them it's a city road. All right, thank you, Mr. Finas.
You're welcome. Talked a little bit about that. There are some legislative issues that we'll probably talk about next couple weeks. There's bills that are going through the state legislature that will cap how much property taxes that you can levy in each year. And we're watching that closely, and I can get you as much details as you want on that. There's another bill that caps that how much new revenue you can take in. It caps you as far as what new revenue. Let's say if you have, what I think it says is you get the rate of inflation plus 2%, and anything over that you can't take in that revenue. Which is a problem from a fiscal responsibility. I think these issues fall within a local control issues. I mean, I'm sure that a lot of people have different feelings on that, but I think that the Tennessee Municipal League would. We'll give you the materials, would probably say that these are not necessarily taxation issues, but they're more just local control issues. I'll provide that information to everyone to look at. And if you want to have a more in-depth conversation on what those impacts are, we certainly can in upcoming meetings. But those are fairly significant issues. I know that there's a fairly significant issue that's going through that affects Cleveland Utilities electric system. That basically it doesn't allow for Cleveland Utilities or a utility to take over the electric system when we do an annexation. And that would be pretty significant. Tim called me the other day about that. And told them that I would mention that, and I can get some more information on that, and we can determine if we want to take positions on those or figure out what we want to do. There's a number of other small dogs and cats. There's an issue with working with a design build that actually may help us in the future. So a bill that's working through the state that I think we're okay with, that we will help need to push through any of those. And I know the mayor is pretty fluent in some of those issues. Any questions on any of those legislative issues, or we'll just provide the information, and then if there's questions that you have, we can have a conversation.
I know there are some cities that are sending resolutions of either support or non-support. The capping of the taxation is specifically one of them that city councils are across the state sending to their delegations, that this has a tremendously negative effect on municipal budgets. There's 363 cities, and it will, even though the discussion this week is to start limiting, possibly by population, the city of Cleveland would still be in the limited number of cities that would be affected. And again, this is no longer if, it's now when. this is gonna pass, because it is gaining tremendous support across party lines, but more importantly, with the Republican supermajority right now in the state house and Senate. So I think I'll just ask this council, we need to be thinking, do we want to send that kind of a resolution that this could be very injurious to budgets going forward? Basically, they're telling the city what we can and cannot do, which is a different approach from in years past.
Well, it makes it awfully, I believe that we're good stewards of local tax dollars, meaning that we're as efficient as any local government out there. That with caps and things like that is what that actually pushes local governments to do is to have more tax increases to try to keep up with demand instead of waiting 5 or 6 years and doing 20 or 25 cents, as it brings it back to doing something more often. And it's
Local control.
it's a local control issue, but it probably depends on what seat you're in, and there's some people that would argue that it's a good thing. I think there's probably examples out there of things that aren't good examples. But just think about that. We'll send along information, and you guys can evaluate that stuff.
I would be curious to see our history and our tax increases we've done and how many times that law passing would have hindered what we've put in place.
I think probably about every time. Off the top of my head, I mean, there's only 3 or 4 examples in the last 30 years. I think each of them were 18 to 25 or so, except for the last one. Yeah, except for the last one.
But it was, yeah, except for the last one, and that is a percentage. And then one of the amendments in the bill says 3/4 or 4/5 of the body can override that. I think only the last one, because I asked the exact same question when MTS sent me an email about it. And this is the only one that was within that threshold of the way it's written.
The most recent.
Right.
Yeah, I think the overriding is that if you want to go more than that, you need to have 66% to put it on a referendum.
That's it. You're right. You're right. Which
Wheel tax. It'll never happen.
Mayor,
Yes,
I
Vice
just
Mayor.
think it's a situation where one size does not fit all.
Great.
I'm afraid that's what we're trying to be channeled into.
I think it's a great analogy to what this is. The other one could be, we have one set of elected officials that are trying to tell another set of elected officials they don't know what they're doing, and we'll just take over.
I've always found Representative Raper open to a discussion. And pro-city, to be honest. Pro-24.
In fact, Representative Raper is the one that asked me, are we gonna do a resolution against it?
If that would help him, then I would certainly vote for that.
Well, if anyone decides they want to do that, let me know.
We would have to have that at the 3 o'clock work session, I think it'd have to be.
Yeah, we wouldn't have it ready for today.
Well, they may shut down the next,
I'm hearing April.
before we even meet again, right? Is that right? Yeah. I mean, they may shut down before we meet again. So it doesn't have to be a letter, we can just give a motion?
You could
Put it
do
on the minutes?
It's appropriate at 3 o'clock, that's a proper motion.
I'll defer to the council on that.
So the last time we did it was about schools, right? One of our local senators started making phone calls. How dare you, how dare you, how dare you? The mayor's already spoken to that, local, we don't know what we're doing. So just be ready for that if you want to go this route. To be told. They know better.
I think there's a lot going on, and I think my guess is that it'll probably still be there at our next meeting. But it's better if you're going to take a position to figure out exactly what the final bill is before because a lot of times you take a position on a bill. The easiest thing is to do a resolution for local control and say, like, these issues are, not necessarily legislation, but.
And the way our House and Senate act is they can pass it in each chamber and then change it after the fact in a work session or committee. If they don't pass the same bill, it's gotta go to a committee to be worked out. And we never know what happens in those sessions.
Yeah. So let's get some updates as far as where things are at, and then we can decide what we want to do.
All right.
That certainly doesn't preclude any of us from calling.
Oh,
Our
it does
friends.
not.
With that, Mr. Mayor, are there any budget priorities that anyone wants to bring up to our attention as we're working through the budget? Anything, questions, projects, areas of importance?
Members of the council, Councilman Estes?
Yeah, I said this before, I'll just say it again, and I don't know what it will look like or how it will look, and Lisa, I'm glad you're here. That gap for first-time homeowner purchasing of LMIs.
Mhm.
There's some big people coming to town looking to do some really great things, and I know they're going to city participation. And how do we affordable housing, like to my colleagues, last week we approved 550 or so new home sites. We would have approved 850, but we kicked one of them back for redraw on about 300.
So some of those were plats. They weren't new.
But they had actual single family or residents.
Right, but they had been approved. They're not new ones coming to they're stuff that's already been approved by the council. But
We're begging them to build them, right? To bring more housing, and many of them were at 1,400 square feet and less, right? Which is almost affordable for a working family. If you look at, I went and read the Alice data that United Way puts out, the Dakota region, the gap between the working poor and then being able to afford what the world is today. So, Joe, I don't know where the city can operate in that within its budget. I know it does a lot with, with both Habitat and with down payment assistance with City Fields as well. Just keep that on your radar. I know I've asked Kathy the same. I don't know if you know this. I've asked Kathy the same thing. Anything the city can do to help in that, because it stabilizes the second district greatly.
so it's home loan assistance. Is that?
However, that gap between what they can afford according to the bank and what that mortgage is, So, and interest rates were coming down until bonds came down. So.
Joe, what about Michigan Avenue Road? Yeah, what improvement? We're going to have something in the next budget?
Yeah, we have the 20th in Michigan, that intersection, which actually reminds me probably should be on this list. Now that I just thought about that, probably is that's a project that needs to be done. And then the intersection at we already have the right of way for the intersection at Minnis and Michigan. That section needs to be rebuilt and redone, and probably put a traffic light in there
Would that be
to.
in addition to what's already on the 20?
Yeah, like I said, that probably should be on there. You could let me put it this way: you could probably use depending on our costs, you can probably use, we probably have the materials to put up a traffic signal with poles. The lay of that land is very slanted, and we'd have to figure out how to do that. If you didn't want to do mast arms, you wouldn't necessarily need to have a new intersection. You would use probably the parts from these other ones we're taking down to redo them.
My immediate thought would be the scale, the size of those intersections at Venice and 20th would be nowhere near Peerless and Paul Hub, where those huge mast arms are necessary.
Yeah, and we can look at a design and see that. But to answer your question is yes, those are part of the budget
I
proposal.
agree 100%, Councilman. Lots of comments about that,
Mhm.
lots of accidents at that
Yeah.
intersection. And you mentioned a year or so ago, you would have to take the hill out just north of the 20th Street interchange.
Yeah. Is the stormwater piece of that project, is that complete?
Kind of little things that finish up, but, mostly.
Yeah, because we've already started that, because we put in all the stormwater design and all of that using a grant. And so the next thing is to come back, and then you can put the road on top of the stormwater so that it drains. So we've already started it, and so the second phase of it would be actually doing the intersections.
Councilman McKenzie, anything for the first district that was not mentioned that you think should be included in the budget priorities? I know I was asked recently about, it's been mentioned at this podium about sidewalks down South Lee, the Bradley High School area specifically. And I don't know if that's able to be added or put into this mix.
It's already a project on our list, is not necessarily out in front of the high school, but on the other side of the road is we have because I think we have a design for that, Jonathan,
Yes, we have it.
from Smith Drive.
From, the new, that's.
Yeah, from Smith Drive all the way down South Lee, connecting into the downtown. We have a design of a project through there. It's just about getting the right of way will be difficult. When they did that project before and they widened it, they didn't buy any extra right of way. So the road edge, and if you ever notice the traffic or the light poles are within 2 feet of that, is they just widen it out, but you don't have any extra right of way. So we'd have to go and purchase the right of way, and we have those exhibits drawn, and we probably need to start that process.
Well, are there any ideas to move forward with the sidewalks on North Lee Highway? They still continue, there's a lot of foot traffic, especially coming from the mobile home park at Tasso all the way down, and a lot of people will walk to work, and it'd be great if we could get sidewalks on North Lee one of these days.
What side of the street do we think that should be on? Do we have a design? Do we know? Have we ever done a project out there?
Southbound. I'm assuming Hardwick's gonna end up having to put them in, right, when that gets built out?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, is if you probably did that there.
I know that historically, today, it's on the RP Homes side, the Sequoia side. I think that side by nature is wider, and so it seems safer to walk down, but that's the side that historically people are using right now. I agree, Councilman.
Yeah, because there's already curb through there, right?
All the way down to Cleveland Tire, and then
Yeah, so you already have the drainage in.
And then they'll have to put it in with the new RP Homes all the way down, so you got a few farms, to Sequoia, I guess, but.
Yeah, that's great feedback. We'll add that to our list and start working up on what the difficulties are with it or not. Because my guess is we probably have a lot of the right of way. It's just a matter of just going out and doing it.
And both both the South Lee Highway with Bradley High School and the North Lee Highway with North Lee Elementary, one of the most popular projects we have done in my tenure was the sidewalks to schools downtown, the Blythe Oldville area.
Mm-hmm.
Are those grants still available? Because both North Lee and South Lee Highway both have schools involved.
Those grants were, I think, I can't remember. They were essentially diabetes grants, so they're health-based funded for low to moderate income neighborhoods. I'm not sure that area would qualify. Let us look at that. I mean, building sidewalks is not financially. It's something that's doable, especially if we have time to do that. So let's look at that.
Vice Mayor?
3 items, Mayor, and one or two of these may already be in the works. I don't know. The crossing at Peerless Road and Norman Chapel, pedestrian crossing. Is that on anybody's radar?
Say it again.
At Norman Chapel and Peerless Road, we have the new sidewalk on Norman Chapel.
Mhm.
We have Cleveland High School on the other side of Peerless,
And right across.
and there's not a good way to connect.
Yeah, David talked to me about. Oh, you came in. Don't we have that one teed up? Do we have that other equipment we're putting in?
Nice hat, Dave.
Thank you. Yes, we do have equipment. It's the same equipment that that we just put in at the Pie Center. It's a flashing crosswalk. It's in the works. Yes, it is on our radar, and it's happening.
I know the schools have been very interested in seeing that done. The other one, are the Sethra bus stop shelters. So we're making some progress on those maybe.
Yes.
Okay. And the last one, I don't know if we've ever talked about this before or not. And there may be something in the works, but the intersection of APD 40 and South Lee Highway, it's a pretty major intersection, and the lighting on it is terrible at night. There's no high mast lighting.
At the Miracle Mile where the car dealers are?
Yes, yes. There's very limited street lighting.
You mean like the interchange area?
Yes, the interchange. If you're coming north on I-75, coming into town and you get off at that interchange and you want to make a left turn at night, it is dark.
It's the intersection that has the 4 lighting poles that have been sitting out there for about 5 years.
Does anybody know who they belong to?
No.
State, I was South Lee and AP.
Yeah, if anything, Cleveland Utilities would go pick them up and just put them in there.
Right?
I mean, they've literally,
It's like I'm water.
I mean, they've literally just laid out there for, I mean, they're massive poles and they've been out there for 5 or 6 years.
Does anybody know if there was plans for the high mast lighting there?
It's a great question. We can ask Ms. Bradley with TDOT, our local.
Yeah, we'll ask. My guess is Jimmy or Tim will know.
That's a major entrance into the city right there.
Yeah. Agreed.
Well, that whole interchange needs a facelift. I mean, lighting being a part of that.
That's my 3, Mayor.
Matt, you were talking about the sidewalks on South Lee Highway, which Charlie asked about when he was on here, and I had asked about it. Joe was sure.
I remember.
There was a program for that. And I also asked at one point for beautification down through South Lee Highway in the medians. I understand, Joe, that's in the plan as well.
There was a plan. There was a plan to put together a plan for there.
Planning to plan.
Planning to plan. So that there was a South Lee corridor plan that is is in the works. That would go through and say, this is what we need for this entire corridor, including things. If you go back to our last thing, that's one of the last things that are out there to do that. We had put a plan out there with 25th Street and South Lee to do that. The cost came in pretty high, so we're having to rebid that and take out some of the stuff that we were asking for to be able to do that. And they'll do a corridor plan that will show what exactly needs to happen in that whole corridor, from zoning, beautification, what type of lighting you need, what type of sidewalks you need, what type of all that stuff. And we would do that for 25th Street and South Lee. So we did that once. The cost came in really high, and we have to do it again.
In that process, and I know that's an older area of town, so there's a lot of businesses very close to the road already. Is it possible to have a bike lane?
Aren't there bike lanes out there?
I'm not sure that there is all the way up and down in certain areas
On South Loop,
on South Lee.
there is not. And there's a fellow that rides his bike to work every day.
Yeah, and then there's people that are walking in the street up and down through there all the time too, so. But that was also mentioned one time in one of the other, board meetings for the Greenway about the bikes up and down South Lee, so, we might wanna look at that.
I can only speak to you as a recovering state legislator, how fabulously unpopular the bike lane on Keith Street was at the time, even though it didn't cost the taxpayers anything locally, came from state funds, but it was rather interesting feedback we got.
There is quite a bit of, foot traffic and bike traffic and other types of traffic besides automobiles up and down South Lee Highway, so.
I understand.
Just
Even
look at that.
wheelchairs, which still.
That's what I'm talking about, yeah, the wheelchairs.
Vice Mayor.
Joe, the increase in oil prices, has it completely blown our paving budget?
No, because we're locked into a contract. I don't think they've given us any, they haven't increased, they haven't used any of the conditions in the contract to increase the prices that we know of.
Is there a clause in there that they could?
Yes.
Yes, there usually is.
It's just a matter of time.
Councilman Moore? At large,
Yes, sir.
any budget priorities there?
I like the South Lee, all the South Lee ideas, bike lane, sidewalks. I think everybody else kind of covered everything well.
So do you like the idea of having a plan and just being able to implement it? You know, here's where the bike lanes are, here's where the sidewalks are, here's what that interchange looks like, and here's how that whole area comes together.
I do.
Pretty pictures.
And I really like the Norman Chapel Peerless. It's always kind of awkward right there.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
It's very difficult to make a left off of Norman
It is
Chapel.
extremely difficult,
onto
but
Peerless.
if you go when school was letting out, you see kids kind of trying to figure out how to make that pass.
I even see parents waiting in the townhomes across the street parking lots.
Yeah, and at the
Waiting for their
church.
kid, yeah, and at the church.
Mr. Fidus, phase 6 of the Greenway always sits there. Talk about community feedback.
I know.
All right.
Joe, where is the 17th turning lane off of Georgetown? Where are we still looking at doing that?
Yeah, it's on our project list. You know, we've been so bogged down with Inman and then Tinsley, is a lot of those smaller projects got pushed back, but it's still there.
And with that, is there any possibility that when you're going, where Georgetown and Peerless split, and you're going around Georgetown, is there any way possible to have sidewalks on that area? That people walk down through their lot and there's no sidewalks on it. portion of that at all.
Yeah, I haven't heard that in a long time, but I know that you've brought it up a number of times, and I know Tom Cassidy's brought it up. You know, I see a lot of people walking all the way on Georgetown Road all the time, from all the way from 25th Street all the way down to
Well, even from West Side Drive back over to Georgetown Peerless.
oh yeah, that whole stretch. There's people walking.
Is there any kind of programs to pay for sidewalks for that, any grants or anything?
Well, you could do a transportation alternatives grant for that. Probably wouldn't qualify, and it would probably take 10 years to do. Sidewalks are more effective from what we've found just to do internally. So I think we get the best bang for our buck to be able to do that.
Like 20th Street, pulled it to the roadside.
So that's something we can look at doing, in Georgetown.
Yeah, that's. I'm not going to say it's easy. I mean, there's a lot of pipe and storm water because of the ditch sections that are through there. I don't know how much right-of-way you would need. I think there's some sections that have a decent amount of right-of-way in front of a lot of those homes. It's just about putting all of the different sidewalks on a big list and just attacking them, and that's what we had been doing. You know, a lot of things change for us once we can get out of Tinsley Park. You know, the working on Inman Street really set us back probably 4 or 5 months on our normal planning. Tinsley has set us back probably another 4 or 5 months, so we're probably a year behind. You know, we have a little piece of greenway that needs to be built at Fulfill Hour. We have some work to be done on Church Street to be able to get fiber to the Cherokee building. That will require taking up the sidewalks on Church Street. Then after that, we don't have a lot planned, so we can have that conversation. In fact, I think that would be a good exercise. You know, how I brought the traffic light priorities is to bring something with sidewalks and let you guys rank and prioritize them and have a conversation on what it usually ends up. They're all priorities, and we have to go. But we can do that at the next meeting. Is just look at all the different sidewalk projects and just get some feedback on where people want to go with those. I think that's a good idea.
And Mr. Five, speaking of, I appreciate Councilman Moore bringing up and liking the fact that you want to do a proposal for the South Lee area and come back with a design.
Yeah.
I remember the 25th Street was actually brought to us, the J-turn plan, by the state.
Right.
They're heavily partnering. In fact, a majority of that is being borne by the state.
100%.
Is there a possibility, since South Lee Highway is technically a state road, that we could have that same kind of partnership and fix the medians that Councilwoman McKenzie brought up, and beautification as well as sidewalks that Councilman Moore is talking about? I mean, to me, that would be a very proactive partnership if we could get them to.
I think the key on that is to have a consultant come and identify the things that we want, but identify, are there any transportation or traffic issues? And then you can go to TDOT and say, look, we've identified that that this is a traffic issue. I think that they'll be willing to help with some traffic related issues. Probably the softer stuff, they probably wouldn't be as willing to participate. Sidewalks, they would say, just to apply to their transportation alternatives or their MMA program, which those would be good projects for that.
The length of time they take is just exorbitant.
The length of time they take takes a long time, as we found out.
I'm grateful for this discussion. I think it's very important as we move forward in the budget process. I'm grateful for all the input from the council, but I will be remiss if I didn't remind us that it's 2:35, and once we get to the city manager's review of the agenda, we might need to put the reports from council members in the box with the objections, so give us a little more guidance, unless there's other things about the budget.
No, if you want, I'll just go right to the agenda. We have several public hearings today. One is public hearing to hear a request by the city of Cleveland to amend the zoning ordinances 3.4.2 concerning regulations for cluster mailboxes and new developments. These are mostly for infill developments. This was approved by the Planning Commission 7-0. Basically, the post office now requires, as many of you know, that you have these kiosks for mail. There were questions. We were getting all kinds of different designs, and we wanted to standardize the design to make sure that they were as safe as possible for the ingress and egress and how to do those things and where they should be located. And I don't know if you have any comments on that, Bill. And if you have more questions on that, David Shealy's here. He was helpful in that. But this just oh, yeah.
And Mr. Fivas, this, by the way, not to editorialize too much, this was also an unfunded mandate that was passed down from the federal level,
Oh, sure.
where those elected officials felt like they were telling us what to do. I get lots of questions. Why did we have to change our mailboxes?
Yeah.
And it has nothing to do with the state and nothing to do with the local governments. This was something that was handed down from on high, the U.S. Postal Service and their Postmaster General. And we are forced to make accommodations to acquiesce.
They're expensive.
And unsightly and horrible.
We added some standards to make them less unsightly, less horrible. Ease up ingress, egress for multiple unit developments on terms of parking. It helps having people that actually build these come and talk to us on the planning commission and even sit here. One of them sits here, Blake Allison built it. So we got to see costs
And none of that, by the way, was added in. It was just, here's the new role. Here's the new rule.
Yeah, that's a pure federal mandate.
Yeah, unfunded federal mandate.
Unfunded federal mandate. B is to hear public comments on the request of the city Cleveland administrative zoning of 0.42 acres on Lang Street from CH to UR1. I think this is the first utilization of our new urban residential districts. Before, this district would have been an R2, which would have allowed multifamily. This just allows a smaller use to make sure that it remains a single family home. That was approved 7-0. Then you have public hearing C is 0.3 acres on Short Street from IH to UR1. And this was approved 7-0. Item D is a public hearing to hear public comments concerning a request by Riverstone Construction LLC to amend PUD 41 to allow a contractor yard and storage. There's a lot of conversation on this. Essentially, this is like a 10 to 15 acre parcel that is not suitable to residential development. That's part of the PUD, meaning that they wanted to make it somewhat usable, so they allowed it to have a contractor yard, which would be a paved yard with a building to be able to do that. My understanding is that it's out of sight, that you can't see it, and it's kind of hidden.
That was the key point in it passing. The trees that are around it, where it is on the plat. Yeah, so there's a kind of like, it's like a panhandle, like an Oklahoma backward. And that's where the laydown yard, but it's got a buffer, it's got lots of trees there, it won't be seen.
Just need material for their
Other work.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of buffers.
Yeah, this is out by this is out by Old Power Line. Item 6E, which is a hear public comments concerning a request by Steve Williams and Aaron Ware for consideration of a resolution to adopt a plan of service, a resolution to annex and zone 19.98 acres. That's located on Dalton Pike, and that is a close sister to public hearing F, which is right next to it is the public comment that you will have public comments from Aaron Ware to consideration the resolution to adopt a plan of service to expand 22.62 acres. Essentially, these are, one is within the growth boundary, and the other one is on the other side of the growth boundary, and you can connect those together. So we're kind of taking them as one unit to be developed. These are both were approved by the Planning Commission 8-0 and create PUD 71. So they would be within the same PUD, different public hearings to be able to do that. There were some questions on this development. I think many of the things have been worked out. As you see, the approval from the Planning Commission. Happy to address any questions now or in the public hearing.
I'll just say it's exciting for South Cleveland. See a little development over there.
Yeah.
Alleviate some of the Paul Hub stuff and
Mm-hmm.
give South End some amenity, some of the stuff.
And to talk about this is that it also has a significant commercial section in front. I think can have 4, 5, or 6 different commercial lots for commercial building up front. So it's really a mixed use PUD on that. We'll have to get a county agreement on there, but I don't think that they will have too much issue with that. Certainly, if there are any questions, let me know. 7A, streetlight recommendations. This is the one that Mr. Webb had brought up on West Side and Raven Drive. They are upgrading the facilities that they have there. And we'll see how that goes and if it's still a problem. Especially doing that sidewalk, we may rethink the entire street light process through there if you're going to be doing curb, planting area, sidewalk there. So we'll be looking at that area quite a bit with the designs. And then you have the final passage of the Winstead Partnership on Stone Lake Road. This had been adopted in July 28th of 2025. There had been a lot of conversations, as we discussed before, of getting the roads, being able to, of all these developments, being able to have access directly to Stone Lake, which gives them direct access to Tom Rowland Interchange, which is critical. I think there's a question that was brought to our attention about the buffer in this area, and I think that the developer will be here to answer questions on that, on what that is. And then items A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and I are all related to those public hearings that we went through. Item J is to see if we're ready to take any steps on the Blue Line Solutions. And then that's all I have for the agenda.
All right, that has been a proper review of our 3 o'clock agenda. Are there any comments or questions from the council? Yes, sir, Councilman Estes.
I'm sorry I'm late on this, Joe, the Blue Line Solution agreements. Are we setting the schools that they're going to, if approved, do we set the schools? Or is it blanket across the board?
Yeah, we set whatever school you want us to put in. We just have to let the company know which ones we're going to set them in.
Are you looking for us to make that decision? Are you bringing to us, hey, blanket they all get it?
I think we probably just need to get the feedback on what the next steps are. I mean, if you know, I think our proposal is to treat every school the same. If you have a school that you don't do, that will create other questions. So there needs to be a process at why are we doing some schools versus not doing some other schools. And
Does that include the 2 county schools?
it would include the 2 county schools. So we, you know, I think as far as feedback, if you wanted us to bring back recommendations, we're glad to do that. If you want to do them all, we're ready to facilitate that.
So I'll throw out just some thoughts on what you're bringing up, just to speed this up. I still don't trust their numbers. I didn't really feel moved by MTAS. On the face of it, certainly certain schools, it makes perfect sense where that's, oh, you've got 25,000 people a week breaking law. But I get 60, I get North Lee Highway, I get South Lee Highway, I get Raider Drive, but I don't get 20th Street Southeast. I don't, maybe 20th Street, I don't get 8th Street, you know, and so they don't meet a threshold. So like, if you were talking, and Chief, if you said, if there's this much traffic, then there's the threshold of where we put the cameras, that would make sense with me. That would carry more weight than the numbers given.
What do you think, Chief?
Well, I think, it's kind of hard to dispute which, where it's gonna be needed. If you go, hey, we only have 1% speeding in this school zone, but that 1% is 200 cars. Or even if it's 100 cars, if that's, you know, weekly basis, you're still looking at 100 vehicles that are speeding through school zones. So, and again, the main objective is to change the behavior, change the culture, just to discourage people from speeding in the zones, not necessarily catching people and accumulating a funding source. It's more of if we have these in place, then you are more effective in reducing it than the normal standard way of running radar in the zone. With the density of the roadways and the number of cars and traffic, it's hard to do the traditional enforcement of traffic by sending a car down there and catching someone speeding. So I'm looking at it more from a standpoint of what does it hurt to put them in that zone? It's a deterrent. It's a change. It's a cultural change. It makes people more aware that they're entering into a zone where there's going to be pedestrian traffic and also a higher volume of car traffic. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I don't really look. The numbers honestly really don't mean that much to me, as much as it's a mechanism to bring attention to a school zone and to hopefully change people's behavior where they pay attention to it and slow their speeds down.
Can I keep first? Go ahead, I've got all kinds of questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, oh, so good. So, me and Chief had a pretty good conversation a few weeks ago about all this. I too have some concerns over the numbers. There were several outliers that, you know, it would be significantly, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, the first 4 days was one average number, and then on the 5th day it was a multiple of those other numbers. So I don't know how that data, if it was inaccurate or whatever. One issue I have is the speeding during the daytime. If you look at all those reports, during the time the schools are actually open, not going to school, not leaving school, we're at about a 1% ratio. I understand Chief's comment that, you know, we still want to stop it as much as we can, but at the same time, we just had another citizen in town on Mohawk Drive who had issue with speeders on his road, and we did a traffic study and we told them, well, it's only about 1%. So we can't stop everyone from speeding all over town. My concern with this whole thing, I've gotten enough feedback from citizens and everyone, I understand there's a cost to freedom and not being monitored. To me, this is a safety issue. So when I think of the schools that this should maybe be at, it's not a Bradley, it's more of a school that Mayfield that kids are walking to, people crossing the road. As part of that, I asked for information on, I was very curious about our history over the last 5 years. How many motor vehicle and pedestrian issues have we had? Well, there was only 4 that I was given. 2 of those were in the Cleveland High School parking lot, so this isn't something this would solve. The other one was at the Pie Center, and the other one was at Peerless Road, I believe in front of Cleveland High School. So really 2 potential in the last 5 years. So although I realize there's an issue with speeding, if the numbers are correct, definitely going to school, leaving school is a much larger problem than while kids are at school being taught. That's just my thoughts I wanted to throw out there from investigating.
Vice Mayor, Bill, do you want to respond?
No, I just have questions.
I guess if I'm gonna err on something, I'm gonna err on the side of caution. When the question comes up about whether you put it at this school or you put it at that school. I do not want to face the parent whose child was hurt at a school where we did not put it, and they say, well, you had the opportunity to put something there that was gonna help control the speed. That's my opinion on it. I would like to see it placed, if we do this, I'd like to see it placed at every school.
I tend to agree, Vice Mayor.
Mr. Kimball, do you care to weigh in on this at all?
Well, I can answer your question if you look at page 1.
Yeah, help me.
12 of your packet, which is page 22 of the contract. It currently calls for 14 of that. They call them APE, which stands for Automated Photo Enforcement Systems. And then if you look on pages 114 and 115, it lists all the schools. So the way it's currently worded is for all the schools.
Are you comfortable with this for Cleveland?
You mean, is it legal?
Nope. I know it's
My
legal.
personal opinion is more like Councilman Goss. I don't personally like automated traffic systems, period. Never have. But that's just my personal opinion. They're legal in Tennessee for this purpose.
Chief, I'll respond, not respond, but I'll just continue your answer, how it's set with me. I agree the culture. Like I was in San Francisco and I drove there for 4 days. I was in town, actually in town for 4 days, all around town. There are cameras everywhere. You're always on camera. And the driving culture is very different than Chicago, Boston, where other places out there in Atlanta. Oh my gosh. It was super safe. And it was just a very different culture in your car driving in an urban area. And the second thing is, we've got 70, 80 cameras probably on the Greenway right now. And I see how that helps. I wasn't clear on this though. Do we just run it between 7:30 and 8:30? Are you gonna run it all day? Are we just gonna ticket between 7:30 and 8:30? Does it help in other things? Councilman Webb, I don't, whatever. You know what? You cannot stop people being stupid and making mistakes. We could sit up here and legislate and bubble wrap all day. At some point you draw the line, and so it hasn't reached that threshold for me.
I'm just not willing to leave one out.
Well,
I'm not sure it would be legal.
yeah, I asked Mr. Kimball 2 weeks ago and he said, or 4 weeks ago, and he said it was.
I remember that, but I still.
Yeah, if you want to choose the school zones, if in fact, if you look back at the page I just
114,
mentioned,
yeah.
112, it says 14 APD systems have been identified. The final number will be based upon the need and viability of the school zone. Unit change may be changed without contract amendment. Pretty clear.
Even the threshold of elementary school versus junior high, high school, I don't see a legal problem if you have a grouping or a reason why.
Mayor?
Yes.
I think just about anything we can do to save children from getting hurt or possibly killed in the school zones is a good thing. But I'm wondering, do we have any examples of how this has worked in other areas as far as, has it prevented? I'm not talking about the ticketing as far as how many cars they ticketed, but I'm talking about, do we have any examples of where it's actually, an example of where somebody's actually, it's brought down anybody getting hurt, the percentage of children getting hurt? Do we have anything like that?
Mr. Fivas?
Continue at 3 o'clock.
Yeah, continue at 3 o'clock, yeah. I think that's a very viable question, Councilwoman. I don't think that data has been provided.
They spoke when their presentation was
Verbally.
full of examples.
Yeah.
When they came.
Of actual.
You can't say that it didn't, right? You can't prove the negative.
No,
But
I know
they
that.
gave,
There won't be a study. Yes, they do.
90-something%, they gave all kinds of.
My concern is that it's so effective, how do they continue to do it?
That's cool.
But
How much does it change the
their
culture?
numbers were lowering the speed, who was speeding. It had nothing to do with injury rates as far as I know. And my questions, are we solving something that's not been a huge problem? We only had one motor vehicle
Well, that was
pedestrian
my question. An
in 5
example,
years.
Statistics about that.
And how about this? We haven't even talked about, I know Hal's not here. What's happened with the cameras on the passing of the buses in the Cleveland City Schools that's been in place for a month or two?
That's a good question.
Like, I know that he showed video to me, or it was also he showed it to Channel 9 or somebody. And so has that been a deterrent?
I can tell you, other mayors have contacted me. How did you do it? And can we copy?
Have you been?
After they saw it on Channel 9.
Yeah. It was shocking. The videos on the news that were on the internet.
Can we
All right.
have a break?
Yeah, so we have decided to move reports of the council members to 3. I don't have any further announcements. Without any further objection, we will be adjourned